The strongest new member? The Galaxy Council just accepted humanity's Part 1. The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. It came not through radio waves or laser pulses, but in a sealed data capsule that drifted silently into Earth's orbital defense net. No warning, no sender ID. Just a smooth silver sphere that hummed softly when touched. Within hours it was in Geneva, opened by a team of scientists under armed guard. Inside lay a single crystalline chip and a note written in flawless English. The Galactic Concord summons Earth to Varelli's Prime. 2 representatives. Depart within 7 cycles. Refusal is not permitted. No one knew what to make of it. For over 200 years, humanity had scanned the stars hoping for contact. They had sent probes, signals, even songs into the void. But nothing ever came back. Now, out of nowhere, an invitation or a command from something called the Galactic Concord. Panic spread through world governments. Conspiracy theories exploded online. But beneath the noise, a quiet hope stirred. Maybe they were not alone after all. After 3 days of emergency meetings, the United Earth Council chose their delegates. Daniel Brooks, a calm and sharp-eyed diplomat in his late 30s, known for negotiating peace in the Martian water wars. And Maya Ruiz, a quiet but brilliant xenolinguist from New Mexico, who had spent her life studying dead languages and alien signal patterns, even though no real alien signals had ever been found. She was only 31, but her mind worked like a supercomputer wrapped in kindness. They trained for 6 days, not in weapons or tactics, but in etiquette, biology, and basic Concord protocols leaked from old alien data fragments found in deep space debris. They learned that the Concord was made of over 200 species, each with their own customs, senses, and ways of speaking. Some communicated through scent, others through color shifts in their skin. A few didn't speak at all, they shared thoughts through touch. Daniel practiced bowing, hand gestures, and how to stand still for long periods without blinking. Maya memorized over 400 greeting phrases in different alien syntaxes. Neither slept much. Their ship, the UNSS Horizon, was small and sleek, built for speed, not war. It carried no weapons, only shields and a diplomatic beacon. As it left Earth's atmosphere, Daniel looked back at the blue marble growing smaller behind them. He felt the weight of every human who had ever looked up at the stars and wondered. Maya sat beside him, eyes closed, rehearsing vowel tones in her head. Varelli's Prime was not a planet. It was a massive ring-shaped station orbiting a quiet red dwarf star, built over thousands of years by countless species. Its surface shimmered with shifting architecture, towers that bent like grass, walkways that flowed like water, and domes that glowed with soft internal light. Ships of every shape and size docked along its outer rim. Some looked like floating crystals. Others resembled living creatures with wings of plasma. Stepping onto the station was like walking into a dream made of glass and wind. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something sweet like burnt sugar. Gravity felt lighter than Earth's. Sounds were muffled as if the walls absorbed noise. Aliens moved everywhere. Tall insect-like beings with clicking mandibles, gelatinous blobs floating in transparent suits, armored reptilian figures with glowing eyes. Most ignored the humans. A few stopped and stared. One small, furry creature with 6 eyes made a chirping sound and quickly scurried away. Daniel kept his posture straight. Maya kept her hands clasped in front of her as protocol demanded. They were guided by a silent drone to the Grand Concourse, a vast circular chamber where the Concord held its open sessions. The floor was polished obsidian. The ceiling stretched so high it vanished into mist. Around the edges, hundreds of delegation pods floated in midair, each shaped to suit its species. Some filled with liquid, others lined with soft moss or heated stone. At the center stood a simple platform. That was for newcomers. As they stepped onto it, a deep, resonant voice filled the chamber. Not from speakers, but from the air itself. Earth, you have been called. Daniel cleared his throat. We come in peace, representing the people of Earth. A ripple passed through the chamber. Not sound, not movement, just a shift in attention, like a forest sensing a change in the wind. Then, without warning, the vote began. Lights flickered above each delegation pod. Green meant yes. Red meant no. Purple meant abstain. Within seconds, green lights bloomed like stars across the dome. One after another, species after species, they voted yes. Even the Zenthari, known for their cold isolation, lit green. The Krell hegemony, who had never accepted a new member in 500 cycles, also voted yes. Maya's breath caught in her throat. This wasn't supposed to happen. New members usually waited decades for observer status. Full provisional membership came after centuries of trust. Yet here, on their first appearance, Earth was being welcomed like an old friend. The voice spoke again. Earth is granted provisional membership in the Galactic Concord. You may attend all open sessions. You may trade in neutral zones. You may speak, but not yet vote. Prove your worth, and full standing shall follow. Applause did not come. Instead, a low harmonic hum filled the room, a sign of approval among many conquered species. Daniel bowed deeply. Maya offered the Velnari greeting of open palms, just in case. Later, in their assigned quarters, a simple room with soft walls and a window showing the endless stars, Daniel finally let out a long breath. That was too easy. Maya nodded, staring at the datapad in her hands. It was. No questions, no tests, no history review. They just accepted us. A soft chime sounded at the door. A message had arrived. Not through the station's official channel, but directly to Maya's private comm. She opened it. Only 2 lines appeared. They don't know what you really are. The words hung in the air like smoke. Daniel read them twice. Maya's fingers trembled slightly. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere in that endless dark, someone knew a secret about humanity, and that secret was the reason they had been invited at all. Neither of them slept that night. The strongest new member? The Galaxy Council just accepted humanity's part. Only 5 days after Earth joined the Galactic Concord, alarms blared across Varelli's Prime. Red lights pulsed in the corridors. Alien voices shouted in a dozen languages. Daniel and Maya were pulled from a quiet breakfast by a Velnari aide whose skin had turned pale with stress. The Krell hegemony has attacked Outpost Theta, the aide said, voice tight. They destroyed 3 supply freighters, killed 200 beings. The Concord demands every new member send aid. Daniel's stomach dropped. Aid meant military support. But Earth had no real navy, just a few patrol ships and the UNSS Horizon, which carried no weapons. Maya's face went still. She knew what this meant. The Concord wasn't just testing their loyalty, it was testing their strength. Back on Earth, panic spread. World leaders argued for hours. Some wanted to send nothing, to claim neutrality. Others feared that refusing would get them kicked out before they even settled in. Then Leo Grant spoke up, a former naval captain with a sharp jaw and tired eyes. He had retired after the Titan riots but still trained young pilots in orbital defense. Give me the Horizon, he said. I'll make it fight. Within 24 hours, the Horizon was refitted. Not with heavy cannons, Earth didn't have those, but with smart drones. EMP bursts and shield modulators designed by engineer Priya Mehta, a quick-witted woman from Mumbai who could fix anything with wires and willpower. Tactical Officer Jake Mullins, a former asteroid miner with nerves of steel, joined the crew too. He didn't say much, but his hands never shook even in zero-G firefights. Daniel and Maya stayed behind on Varelli's Prime. Their job was diplomacy, not combat. But as the Horizon launched, Maya whispered a prayer in an old Navajo phrase her grandmother taught her. Daniel just watched the ship vanish into the stars and hoped they wouldn't be remembered as the species that ran from its first test. Outpost. Theta was near the Cygnus Rift, a jagged tear in space filled with magnetic storms and ghost signals. The Krell fleet, 3 jagged black warships shaped like scorpions, hovered over the ruins of the station, picking through debris like vultures. Their hulls shimmered with energy shields. Their weapons glowed red-hot. Leo didn't charge in, he waited. For 12 hours, the Horizon hid behind a dust cloud, silent and dark. Priya rerouted all non-essential power to stealth systems. Jake mapped every Krell movement, noting their patrol patterns. They're arrogant, he muttered. They think no one dares touch them. Then Leo gave the order. The Horizon burst from the cloud, not firing weapons, but launching dozens of tiny drones. The drones didn't explode. Instead, they latched onto the Krell ships and began broadcasting fake distress calls, in Krell dialect. The calls sounded like one of their own ships was under attack from a rival faction. Confusion rippled through the Krell fleet. 2 ships turned on each other, weapons flaring. While they fought, Priya activated the EMP burst. It wasn't strong enough to knock out their engines, but it scrambled their comms and sensors for 30 seconds. In space, 30 seconds was an eternity. Jake fired the Horizon's only real weapon, a railgun salvaged from an old Earth defense platform. The shot struck the lead Krell ship's shield generator, Sparks flew. The shield flickered out. The Krell commander, a hulking reptilian with silver armor, roared in fury. But before he could retaliate, Leo ordered full reverse thrust. The horizon shot backward into the rift's storm zone, where Krell sensors couldn't follow. The remaining Krell ships hesitated. Chasing a human ship into a magnetic storm was suicide. They regrouped and fled. Back on Varelli's Prime, news spread fast. A human ship, outnumbered, outgunned, had driven off the Krell without losing a single life. Delegates who once ignored Earth now watched them with new eyes. Some with fear, some with respect, a few with hunger. Daniel was summoned to the concourse again. This time he stood not on the newcomer's platform but beside it, as an observer with voice rights. The Xanthari ambassador, tall and wrapped in black silk, spoke first. Humans use trickery, not honor. This is not warfare. This is deception. A gelatinous delegate from the Ulani collective rippled in amusement. Deception is a form of intelligence. Would you rather face an enemy who charges blindly, or one who makes you doubt your own eyes? Murmurs rose. The debate lasted hours, but in the end the conquered issued a formal commendation to Earth. Not for strength, but for cleverness. That night, Maya received another message. Shorter this time, just 3 words. They are watching. She showed it to Daniel. He didn't speak for a long time. Then he said, "We won the battle, but I think the real war just started." On the horizon, Leo and his crew returned to Earth as heroes. Crowds cheered. Children waved handmade flags, but Leo didn't smile. He sat alone in his quarters, replaying the battle in his head. Something about the Krell's reaction bothered him. They hadn't just been angry. They'd been afraid. Not of the drones, not of the railgun, of the humans. Priya found him staring at a star map. "What's wrong?" she asked. "They didn't expect us to fight back," Leo said. "But more than that, they didn't expect us to win like that. Like we've done it before," Priya frowned. "We haven't." "Exactly," Leo said. Far away on a hidden moon orbiting a dead star, a cloaked figure watched the battle footage. Their fingers tapped a console. A file opened, classified, ancient, marked with a symbol no human had seen in 10,000 years. The file was titled, Project Awakening, Species Designation, Homo sapiens. The figure whispered, "They're remembering." Back on Varelli's Prime, Daniel and Maya walked through the quiet gardens under artificial moonlight. The air smelled of alien flowers and cool metal. Neither spoke for a while. Then Maya said, "Do you think we're just pawns in some old game?" Daniel looked up at the stars. "Maybe. But if we are, we're the kind of pawns that change the board." Somewhere in the dark, the Krell hegemony sent a coded message to the Xanthari Dominion. It read, "The humans are not what they seem. Recommend immediate containment." The Xanthari replied in one word, "Agreed." The strongest new member? The Galaxy Council just accepted humanity's Part 3 peace did not last. Within weeks of the Horizon's victory, strange things began to happen. Human data requests were denied without reason. Trade permits stalled. Even simple docking clearances took days instead of hours. Daniel noticed the change first. Delegates who once nodded politely now turned away when he approached. Maya felt it too. In the language halls, alien scholars stopped sharing texts with her. Whispers followed them in the corridors, spoken in tongues she almost understood. Then came the inspectors. Tekor of the Velnari arrived without warning. Tall, gray-skinned, with eyes like polished obsidian, Tekor moved with the quiet certainty of someone used to uncovering secrets. Officially, they were reviewing Earth's application for full membership. Unofficially, everyone knew they were digging. Tekor requested access to Earth's historical archives, military, scientific, genetic. The United Earth Council refused at first, citing privacy, but the conquered threatened to revoke provisional status. Faced with exile, Earth relented. Maya was assigned to assist Tekor. She showed them Earth's public records, wars, inventions, art, space missions. But Tekor kept asking about the silent wars, a term Maya had only seen once, in a damaged data chip recovered from a derelict satellite near Pluto. "There are no silent wars in our history," she said. Tekor tilted their head. "Then why do your oldest orbital defense logs mention them? Why do your early fusion reactors bear the same energy signature as architect ruins?" Maya froze. The architects were a myth, a supposed ancient race said to have shaped life across the galaxy before vanishing. No proof of them existed, or so humanity thought. That night, Maya hacked into a sealed government archive using an old backdoor her mentor had shown her years ago. What she found made her hands shake. Classified files described a series of conflicts between 2140 and 2198. Wars fought not with bombs, but with genetic sabotage, neural viruses, and memory wipes. Wars so secret even most world leaders didn't know their full scope. They were called the Silent Wars because no one spoke of them, not even the survivors. Worse, the files hinted that humans hadn't started those wars. They had been engineered to survive them. She showed everything to Daniel. He read in silence for an hour. Then he contacted Earth Command. "I need to speak to Director Hale," he said. Hale was an old woman with silver hair and a voice like dry stone. She met them in a secure room on Varelli's Prime, shielded from all listening devices. "You weren't supposed to find this," she said. "Tell us the truth," Daniel said. Hale sighed. 10,000 years ago, a race called the Architects seeded life across the galaxy. They weren't gods. They were scientists. And they were afraid. An enemy was coming. The Devourer Swarm, a self-replicating machine intelligence that consumed all organic life. So the Architects built a failsafe. They designed a species that could adapt faster than any other. A species that could think in chaos, feel in crisis, and fight when all hope was gone. They called it Project Awakening. She looked at them both. That species was us. Maya's breath caught. "You're saying humans were made?" "Not made from nothing," Hale said. "Enhanced. Our DNA was rewritten over generations. Our brains rewired for pattern recognition under stress. Our bodies built to heal fast, endure pain, and push past limits. The silent wars weren't wars between nations. They were stress tests, triggered by hidden architect tech to see if we were ready." Daniel felt sick. Everything he believed about humanity, free will, history, identity, was built on a lie. Back in their quarters, Maya couldn't sleep. She searched the Concord's public archives using keywords from the classified files. Buried in a fragmented log from a dead Xanthari scout ship, she found a star map. At its center was a system humans called Kepler 186. The log called it Cradle Site Theta, and it marked Earth as Awakened Specimen Alpha. The next morning, Takor summoned Daniel to a private chamber. "I know," Takor said simply. Daniel didn't deny it. "How long have you known?" "Since your ship beat the Krell. Your tactics matched architect battle patterns from the last stand. No species fights like that unless they carry the code in their bones." Takor leaned forward. "The Concord is divided. Some want to study you. Others want to destroy you before you remember who you are. If you hide this truth, Earth will fall. But if you speak it openly, you might earn allies." Daniel thought of Leo, Priya, Jake, all fighting not because they were ordered to, but because they chose to. He thought of children on Earth looking up at the stars, dreaming of peace. He made his choice. At the next emergency session, Daniel walked onto the concourse floor without being called. Murmurs rose. The Xanthari ambassador hissed. But Daniel raised his voice and told them everything. He spoke of the Architects, the Silent Wars, Project Awakening. He admitted humanity was engineered, but also that they had become more than their design. They had built art, loved, forgiven, and reached for the stars not to conquer but to understand. Silence followed. Then chaos. The Xanthari demanded Earth's immediate expulsion. The Ulani collective argued for protection. The Krell hegemony stayed quiet, watching. Takor stood and said only, "Truth is the first test of worthiness." As the debate raged, Maya received one last message. This time it had no words. Just a symbol, the same one from the Kepler 186 file, and beneath it, coordinates. She showed it to Daniel. He didn't speak. He just nodded. Somewhere far away, deep in dead space, something ancient stirred. It had heard the truth spoken aloud, and it was coming. On Earth, people went about their lives unaware that their very existence had just been revealed as a secret weapon. But in the stars, the galaxy held its breath. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Architect's creation had spoken its name, and the universe was listening. The strongest new member? The Galaxy Council just accepted humanity's Part 4. After Daniel spoke the truth, the Galactic Concord broke apart. Delegates shouted over each other in a dozen tongues. The Xanthari demanded Earth be quarantined. The Krell hegemony stayed silent but moved their warships closer to human space. Even friendly species like the Ulani began to pull back, unsure if humans were allies or ancient weapons waking up. Daniel and Maya were confined to their quarters under guard. Not as prisoners, the Velnari said, but for their safety. Outside, protests erupted, some calling for Earth's destruction, others begging the conquered to protect humanity as a living relic of the architects. Takor visited them once, bringing news. The Zenthari have formed a bloc, they said. They call themselves the Purifiers. They believe you must be contained before you awaken fully. Maya asked, "What does that mean?" Takor's dark eyes held no comfort. "It means they will try to erase you." 2 nights later, alarms blared again. Not station-wide this time, just in Earth's sector. A Zenthari strike team had breached the outer hull, using cloaked drones to cut through security. Their target was clear: the data core holding Earth's genetic archives and anyone who knew the truth. Leo Grant was already on his way back. He had been recalled the moment the crisis began. The Horizon dropped out of warp near Varelli's Prime just as the attack started. Without waiting for orders, Leo launched a rescue run. Priya rerouted station power to create a false signal, a fake emergency in another sector. Jake guided the Horizon through maintenance tunnels too narrow for Zenthari ships. Inside the station, Daniel and Maya fought their way to the data vault. They weren't soldiers, but they used what they had: smoke pellets from diplomatic kits, sonic emitters meant for crowd control. They met up with 2 human security officers who had stayed behind. Together, they held the vault door long enough for the Horizon to dock. Leo stormed in like a storm made of steel. He took down 2 Zenthari operatives with quick stun bursts. The rest fled when they saw the Horizon's railgun aimed through the docking bay. Back on the ship, Maya uploaded everything: genetic files, architect logs, the coordinates from the strange message. As they pulled away, Zenthari warships gave chase. But Leo didn't run. He led them into the debris field near Varelli's Prime's old construction zone. There, hidden among broken hulls and dead satellites, waited 3 Ulani cruisers. They had come not to fight, but to shield. The Ulani ships formed a living barrier, their gel-like hulls absorbing Zenthari fire. "Go," their commander pulsed through comms. "Find what you were meant to find." The Horizon jumped to warp just as Zenthari reinforcements arrived. Safe in deep space, the crew gathered in the briefing room. Maya showed them the coordinates. "It's a dead system," Priya said, scanning the data. "No stars. No planets. Just a black hole and some old wreckage," Jake frowned. "Then why send us there?" "Because it's not wreckage," Daniel said. "It's a tomb. Or a vault." They traveled for 3 days. The black hole at the system's center pulled at their shields, groaning like a hungry beast. Around it floated ruins: twisted metal spires, shattered rings, and one intact structure shaped like a spiral shell. The Horizon approached slowly. No signals, no life signs, just silence. Inside the shell, they found a chamber lined with glowing crystals. In the center stood a pedestal. On it rested a single sphere, pulsing with soft blue light. Maya touched it, images flooded her mind. Stars being born, worlds burning. A great war between the architects and the devourer swarm. And then, a seed. A single ship carrying human DNA launched toward a quiet blue planet. She gasped and pulled away. "The architects didn't just make us," she whispered. "They hid us. They knew the swarm would return, and they made us to stop it." As if on cue, a new alert flashed on the Horizon's console. A distress call, wideband, unencrypted, sent by dozens of species at once. It came from the Galactic Core. The devourer swarm had returned, not scouts, not fragments, the full force. A cloud of self-replicating machines devouring everything in its path: planets, ships, even stars. Entire systems had gone dark in hours. The conquered was in chaos. Some fled, some fought. Most just screamed into the void. The Zenthari bloc fell apart. Their warships turned back toward home, desperate to save their own worlds. The Krell hegemony sent a message to Earth, not a threat, but a plea. What do we do? Daniel knew the answer. He opened a channel to every conquered frequency. We don't run, he said. We stand together, and we fight. But the conquered was too broken to unite. Old grudges, fear, and pride kept them apart. Only a few species responded: the Ulani, a small reptilian clan called the Vex, and 3 independent mining guilds. Leo looked at his crew. We can't stop the swarm alone, Priya tapped her console. Maybe not. But what if we don't fight it head on? What if we trick it? She explained her idea. The swarm followed energy patterns. It hunted life by its heat, its signals, its movement. But if they could create a fake signal, a massive, irresistible lure, they could draw it into the black hole at the center of the dead system. Once past the event horizon, not even the swarm could escape. It's risky, Jake said. One mistake and we're gone too. Leo nodded. Then we don't make a mistake. They sent the plan to every ship that would listen. Few believed it would work. But with no other hope, they agreed to try. As the horizon prepared, Maya received one final message. This time it was not text. It was a voice, soft, ancient, speaking in perfect English. You were made to endure. Now prove you were made to lead. She didn't know who sent it, but she knew one thing. Humanity was no longer just a member of the galaxy. They were its last chance. The strongest new member? The Galaxy Council just accepted humanity's Part 5. The plan was simple in words but impossible in practice. Draw the devourer swarm into the gravity well of the black hole and trap it forever. The problem was the swarm did not think like living beings. It learned. It adapted. It had already consumed 3 conquered fleets by copying their tactics and turning them against their own allies. If it sensed a trap, it would scatter or evolve a way out. So the lure had to be perfect, irresistible, real. Priya worked for 2 days without sleep. She combined human neural network code with fragments of architect data from the crystal sphere. The result was a signal that mimicked the combined bioenergy of 1,000 living worlds, a false heartbeat so strong it pulsed like a dying star. She called it the beacon of last hope. Leo gathered every ship that answered the call, 23 vessels from 12 species. Most were damaged. All were scared. He stood before them in a shared comms channel, his voice calm. We don't have to win, he said. We just have to hold the line long enough for the trap to close. Jake coordinated the fleet's movements. He placed the sturdiest ships, the Ulani cruisers and 2 Krell destroyers, at the front, their shields linked in a web. Smaller ships like the Horizon stayed behind, ready to adjust the beacon's frequency in real time. Maya monitored the swarm's approach. It moved like a storm of glass and lightning, swallowing asteroids, comets, even light itself. When it arrived, silence fell across the fleet. No one spoke. No alarm sounded. The swarm did not roar or scream. It simply was, vast, cold, and hungry. Then it attacked. Machines the size of cities peeled off the main cloud and struck the shield line. Explosions bloomed in the dark. One Ulani ship shattered, its gelatinous hull freezing and cracking in the vacuum. A Vex frigate vanished in a flash of white fire, but the line held, barely. Priya adjusted the beacon. The swarm hesitated. It turned toward the signal, drawn like a moth to flame. Slowly, the main cloud began to drift toward the black hole. It's working, Jake said. Not yet, Leo replied. The swarm was smart. Part of it kept attacking the fleet while the rest moved toward the lure. Leo ordered a feint. 3 small drones launched toward the black hole, each broadcasting the same signal. The swarm split again, chasing the decoys. But one piece, the largest and darkest, kept coming straight for the horizon. They know, Maya whispered. Leo didn't flinch. Jake, you ready? Jake nodded. He had volunteered for this the moment Priya explained the plan. His fighter, the Stardust, carried a modified core, one that could overload and create a temporary quantum resonance pulse. It wouldn't destroy the swarm, but it would disrupt its hive mind long enough for the black hole to take hold. The catch: the pulse had to be triggered from inside the swarm itself. I'll see you on the other side, Jake said. Though they all knew there was no other side, he launched. The Stardust shot through the chaos like a silver needle. Enemy machines swarmed around it, tearing at its hull. Alarms blared in Jake's cockpit. Oxygen leaked. Shields failed. But he kept going, aiming for the heart of the dark cloud. At the last second, he smiled. Then he triggered the pulse. A wave of blue energy rippled outward. The swarm froze. For 3 full seconds, it stopped moving, stopped thinking, stopped being. In that moment, gravity won. The black hole pulled the entire mass past the point of no return. Light bent. Time stretched. And then silence. The swarm was gone. Cheers erupted across the fleet. Ships blinked their lights in triumph. The Ulani hummed a song of gratitude. Even the Krell sent a formal salute, but on the horizon no one celebrated. They watched the empty space where Jake's fighter had been. Leo closed his eyes. Priya wiped her face with a shaking hand. Maya whispered his name like a prayer. Back on Varelli's prime, the Concord reconvened. The chamber was quieter now, humble. The Xanthari ambassador stepped forward, their black robes dull under the soft lights. "We were wrong," they said. "We saw a weapon and feared it. But you were never weapons. You were guardians." Tekor rose next. Earth did not seek power. They sought survival, for themselves and for all of us. That is the mark of true strength. One by one, every delegation lit their pod green, not for provisional status, not for observer rights, but for full membership, equal standing, equal voice. After the session, Daniel stood alone on the observation deck. Maya joined him, holding 2 cups of real Earth coffee, rare and precious this far from home. "They called us the strongest new member," she said. Daniel smiled faintly. "We're not the strongest. We're just the ones who wouldn't quit." Far below, ships from a dozen species docked side by side, no longer strangers but allies. On Earth, children played under open skies, unaware that their species had just saved the galaxy. Leo returned to the horizon. He stood on the bridge looking at the empty pilot seat. Then he turned to Priya. "We rebuild," he said. "For him, for all of them," she nodded. "We rebuild." In the deep dark beyond the edge of known space, something ancient watched. The architects were gone, but their legacy lived, not in perfect design but in flawed, feeling beings who chose to stand when others ran. Humanity had not been made to rule. They had been made to rise, and they did.